Hey folks, it's Rich Mac here and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I think like the rest of you guys, I am so excited to finally get in the sim and to be able to get my hands on it, and what can I say? It's just absolutely amazing. It's got its problems. There are definitely a lot of quirks. I have plenty of time to get into that, but in general, this is the future. I've played Bicar, where he's going. I've been playing X-Plane 11 for quite some time. Probably have 500 hours in it at this point, and I'm ready to give it up. I'm totally moving everything over to this sim, and again, a lot of bugs, a lot of quirks, but there's plenty of time to fix those. In general, this is just an amazing sim platform. I mean, just look around. Let me see if I can get this right. And bear with me because I'm still learning the controls. This is the drone camera, and you are looking at Doylestown Airport, KDYL, Kilo Delta Yankee Lima. This is in southeastern Pennsylvania, just northeast of Philadelphia, northwest of Philadelphia, excuse me. And it's just beautiful. I am not a pilot, but if I was, this would be my home airport, so I'm very familiar with the terrain around here and the buildings. These office buildings, or whatever they are, right here to the right, they're not there in real life. In fact, I find it interesting. It seems to be overbuilding that area, but I can forgive that. I can completely forgive that. Oops, excuse me. But just look at those trees. Look at the terrain. That, if I can do this right. Oh, hey. That is our courthouse in Bucks County, Pennsylvania over there. And that's where it is. That's pretty much what it looks like. To the left of that's a water tower. Kind of a funny water tower. It's not really elevated. It sits on a hill. Well, it's elevated, but I mean, it's not like up on legs. But anyhow, I digress. Although I'm looking at a couple of windmills. I don't know if those windmills are there in real life. I'm not sure where it's getting those from. But anyhow, just look at this. This is just amazing. And another thing that's very interesting about Doylestown is this is right on the edge of and I can't say it. I cannot say it. The photogrammetry, is that correct? The photo whatever that Bing Maps uses. Literally, it ends right on the south side of the runway here. So as I move forward slowly, really going slow right now. I thought I had this thing changed. Let me see if I can speed it up. There we go. Yeah, still learning the controls. Now these should be photogrammetric, whatever they are, buildings over here. Whereas those over there, literally, this is right on the border. Those are rendered just by the AI. So again, these are the photo 3D thingies, and these are rendered by the AI right next door. This is literally right on the border. So I find that a little interesting in itself. But oh my god, just look at the hills and the trees and the clouds. Just amazing, just beautiful. So let's get back here to the airplane. So the reason we are here, and I will get back over there eventually. Ooh. Where's my plane? I lost it. It's over there. Alright, so the reason we are here today is I am going to start a series, and hopefully you guys will find it interesting. I am going to do an around-the-world flight in this beautiful DA62 aircraft. I chose it for a reason. I could have taken something that has a longer range and flies higher and faster and can do an around-the-world trip much quicker. But I wanted to do it, the sadistic side of me wanted to do it in small increments, shorter legs. So I'm going to try to go around the world in 150 to 250 mile legs. At low altitudes and, relatively slow. The idea being I want to see the world, especially in this beautiful simulated world that Microsoft, Asobo have given us. and I'm going to land at a lot of airports I never would have normally ever gotten to. I'm just going to, again, check them out and experience as many as I can. Right now, I think I have, again, this is pretty sadistic, I think I have like 250 legs in this flight. And it may be more when I'm finished, because what I've done, I originally planned this in X-Plane, and I started it. I started a series on YouTube, and then I stopped it only after 4 flights, the YouTube videos. But I kept on flying in X-Plane for a while. Started in Pennsylvania and actually made it all the way to Austria. But it was, with the X-Plane environment, I got to admit, it was kind of boring. It just doesn't look like this does. And knowing this was on the horizon, I just couldn't wait to get into this sim and really and try it out and experience it here. So I kind of just bagged it and waited. And fortunately for me, Microsoft surprised us and brought this out early on August 18th. I really didn't think this was going to come out until November. So I was pleasantly surprised and more than happy to get going early. Anyhow, here we are. And I'm going to start this thing up and give it a go. So hopefully you guys enjoy the ride. And if you don't, then I probably will end up abandoning this. But if you guys keep watching it, I get the views and the likes and the subs. Jeez, I'll just keep on going. I nothing funner than flying around the world. So let's hop in the cockpit here and get going. One of the things... Oh boy, let me get this figured out. One of the things that I am not wild about... Is that right? Okay. I thought I messed up my OBS. Is the camera system. I know it's a very powerful camera system, but sometimes I swear it's harder to operate the cameras than actually fly the planes. But I'm slowly getting used to it. I'm getting there, and just bear with me. So let's get this great plane started up. It's actually relatively easy. Guards in place. I pause for the pitot heat. Get it started. Get the fuel pumps going. Master switch on. Let's start number 2 first. Hold down the button. Actually, number 1. Figure out the cameras. Alright, forget that for now. I know what I can do. Oh, come back. Slow that down, dude. It's fast and out of control. No, slow down. There we go. And my number 1 went out. Let me try that again. How is that going? Fuel pumps on. Oh, the master's off. That'll do it. It's pretty easy to start when you do it right. Let it run up here. Just real quick, check and make sure everything is in the green. On the left is colder, it's heating up. The right oil pressure is a little low. It'll be alright. Pitot heat on it, so I can stop getting it. That caution, and I don't know why it's giving me the low volts caution. My X-Plane version never did that. Don't know why this one is. Knowing it's a sim, I'm not going to worry about it. It's real life, obviously be an issue. And I should have put on my lights. According to these guys who are standing right next to the giant propellers that are spinning the speed of sound next to their bodies, ready to chop them up. pressure here. Come on. 2991 is what our pressure is. Everything looks good to go. Still have that low volts caution, but I'm not going to really worry about that too much. Excuse me while I take a drink. Now, I'm not going to push back. I can turn this thing around. In the process, I'm going to run over these poor guys, but another vehicle. The sim loves driving cars around taxiways and runways. I got to, I think, lower the volume of the traffic. But anyhow, these guys, they're not collidable. There's no collision with them. I'm just going to go right through them. So just kind of ignore this for a minute. And one other thing that I run into, and I don't know why it is, in this sim, it is a real bear to get this plane moving on the ground. Release the parking brake. And watch it prove me wrong and move right away. Usually I have to crank up the engines to get it to move anywhere. There we go. Stop moving. I know the brakes are up. There we go. There we go. Slowly. And what's going to do is it's going to jump and it's going to... Hang on. Excuse me, sir. Clear. Clear. Don't look, guys. He's dead. And just ignore this car I'm about to drive through. Here we go. All right. Clear of all those obstacles. So yeah, it's really hard to get the DA62 moving on the ground. Once it gets going, though, it just wants to fly like an Indy car. Takeoff flaps. Another thing I forgot to do was... Okay. Trim is set for takeoff. Slow down. Slow down. It really just jumps on the ground. Oh, there's a bus on the runway. That's a SEPTA bus. Excuse me. Excuse me, you can't park there. That didn't happen, folks. Did I? Oh, one. I just hit. I'm not sure. I just changed something. One more thing. Just ignore this too, real quick. I forgot my fuel. Let me just. I'll put up like 80% or somewhere in that vicinity. We have fuel, so just ignore that. Should have done that earlier. Oh, and one other thing. In the world map, when you set your flight, and I love this. When you set your flight, it automatically builds it right into your flight plan. So, KDYL, Doylestown, going right down to KITH, which would be, come on, right to Ithaca, New York, and it builds that all right in. So, you know, that saves me a lot of time going into the computer here and entering the flight plan. Love that. Set the flight director. That's on. And I'll see how many times the autopilot tries to kill me. We're getting at low volts caution. Let's get moving. You see, it doesn't want to go. Now we're going. Positive right. Gear up. Just beautiful. Love it. Now right now I'm just hand flying. I'm going to return my landing lights on. That's really good form, Rich. I'll turn my taxi lights off now. I got to turn my strobes on. Easy. Gonna go up to about 3,500 feet. It always feels to me when I take off, I set it for the takeoff trim, but it really feels like it's a nose down trim. If I release the yoke, it just wants to pitch right down violently. And this aircraft is a stick, but I fly it with a yoke. And now that we're up here around 2,000 feet, let me engage the autopilot. And see if it wants to kill me. Usually the autopilot dives me into the earth when I set it, but this time it looks like it's cooperating. Come on, come on. Look at that beautiful Pennsylvania countryside with the Delaware River right in front of you. Still descending. And how about my altitude? Set it to 3,500. I will set the speed and we'll do a nose up. We'll climb 500 feet or more. Climb up to 3,500. And set my altitude. Beautiful, beautiful countryside, beautiful scenery. Amazing. And I lied. I was a little disoriented there. But it's not the Delaware River. That is, I believe, Lake Nokomis. Still with the low volts. I don't know what I'm doing. Gotta figure out what I am doing wrong. So we're slowly climbing right now, 500 feet a minute. And when I go to the drone camera, as you see, I immediately go up into some pitch of death. Now look, it's gonna porpoise all over the place for a while. Yeah. I do not know why it is doing that. Come on, see if I can manage to slow the pitching down. Jeez. All right, I'll level out and then I'll try the external camera again. One of the little quirks right now. Hopefully it will be resolved soon. That might be ABE, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton Airport. Just over that ridge. Let's level out. Get me up there. And we can go outside. Oh, I didn't realize that was. Another thing is it doesn't seem to want to stop at the selected altitude. It's just going to go right by it. So I'm going to hit altitude when I get real close and then let it figure it out and level me out. You really got to watch your altitude on these things. Is it low? Is it? Oh, I'll watch it prove me wrong. Watch it prove me wrong. I swear to God, it's the first time this has done this for me. Look at that. So it's taking me up to 3,500. Fantastic. Alright, now that I'm level off, see if I dare go outside. Let's see what happens. Alright. Yeah. Alright, this is not the drone camera, this is just the external view. This does not seem to try to kill me. So I'll just stick with this for now, instead of the drone view. And this is just amazing. Just amazing. The scenery, I believe, up here in Allentown is all autogen. I mean, look at the traffic on the interchange. That is Hellertown, I believe. Ooh, stuttered on me. It does that every once in a while. I guess it's loading in a lot of this Allentown scenery. Did it again. Crossing over the Lehigh River. That is amazing. Actually, right above the aircraft right now is a high-rise building. That's no longer there. That's the one I'm thinking of. I think they just imploded that building last year. And that's Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. Kilo Alpha Bravo Echo, KABE. And we are now headed towards the Poconos. Ooh. One thing about this that I could not get away with in the X-Plane version, although actually it doesn't have my throttle at. What just happened there? Oh, well, look at that bug. I don't know how to get out of this one. I just lost everything. Holy cow. Seems to be flying still. Alrighty. Turn it off. Give me master off. Get it off. Can I turn it back on? Now I question whether that was a bug. So I had that low voltage indicator. So I didn't have the alternators on. So I was running off of battery power and my battery crapped out. Let's see what this does to me. Now I gotta let everything reboot. Okay. So in the X-Plane version, in the DA62 that I had was an Arabasca design. Or Arabasca was the developer that made that DA62. I don't think that alternator was in there. I didn't have to actually flip that switch. So I had gotten lazy. And didn't have to rely on that switch. Do something here with the arm. Let's see. What's this? Oh, here we go. Okay. Now is my flight plan still on? Oh, look at that, it saved it. Good. Man, I gotta go control here. So now I know. Look at that as we're crossing over the Poconos right now. Autopilot back on first. Now, let's see if it puts me back up to 3,500 feet. Oh, easy, easy. Also trying to put me back on the flight path. A lot of bouncing up and down right here. Come on. Well, anyhow, now I know to take that low voltage indicator seriously. Here I was thinking, I'm just in the sim, it's not going to affect me. It's just one of those silly things. There you can go skiing in the Poconos. Beautiful Pennsylvania countryside. Looks like I'm now back in the flight plan. Alright, so now that my moment of crisis is over, I'll go back inside here. Whatever you outside right now. Stabilized. So the idea is, I set some rules for myself when I made the flight plan around the world. Number one, I had to hit all 7 continents, including Antarctica. I'm going to see that should be interesting. See how it renders. I've heard stories already about the poles, so it might be kind of flat and boring down there because there's not much to see, but I'm heading there regardless. Number 2, I didn't want to just go around the top of the globe. When you look at the Earth, it's real easy just to do an around-the-world trip, crossing the Atlantic, the North Atlantic, and crossing the North Pacific, and doing so just cutting straight around the top of the world. That actually makes the trip a lot shorter. What I did was, in my flight plan, I made sure that I went well into Africa. I didn't go all the way into South Africa, but that may change. I also wanted to make sure that I went to Perth, Australia. Reason being, where I started in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, if you look on the opposite side of the globe, the point on the opposite side of the globe is just off the coast of Perth, Australia. So if I go to Perth, I'm basically going to the opposite side of the Earth. And that's what I wanted to really do. It's going to make this flight longer. Now, I said earlier that I may be changing my flight plan. And the reason why is when I put it together in X-Plane, I wanted to make sure I went everywhere I had ortho scenery. I had an 8 terabyte hard drive that I had loaded up with ortho scenery, and I was kind of running out of space on that drive, so I had to be careful where I set the flight plan to. I wanted to make sure I hit South Africa, but as I started putting it together, I realized that it would take a lot more ortho scenery to get down there, and I was worried about the space I had in my hard drive. So I kind of cut the flight plan through equatorial Africa and cut across the continent that way. I may revise that. I may actually go down to South Africa. There were a couple other places I kind of skimped on just because of the ortho scenery, so I may not have to do. I won't have to do that now. So I'll see how it goes. This lake, I'm not sure what lake this is. Look how blue that water is. That's so cool. And again, being that it's going to be on short legs, it's going to make it long and brutal, but it's kind of the way I wanted it. It's going to be quite an adventure and experience to go all the way around the world in a bunch of short hops. And I'm kind of sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Use your words, Rich. Use your words. Kind of sort of role-playing this in a way. What I'm doing is I'm going to start every day at 7 a.m. and I'll fly like this leg. I'm going to roughly give myself 2 hours on this leg. So then the next leg will start at 9, roughly 2 hours on that one, and the next one will start at 11. So I'll basically be flying from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. I'll try to set the game clock correctly so that the later flights the sun will be setting. The earlier flights like this one, the sun will just be rising. You can see it's. There we go. Where are you, son? It should look east. See, it's coming up now off the horizon, but this is sunrise. Look at that, by the way. That is beautiful. Just beautiful. I will be flying with live weather. Hopefully the weather's going to be pretty good in most instances because I want to be able to see the Earth. That's the whole point of this, so I really don't want to be flying places above the clouds. I could have done this diamond will easily fly at 14,000 feet, but I don't want to go that high just because I want to stay low and see more of the Earth. You get to see the elevations better down here, and the details much better down here. And at this altitude, of course, as you can see below, when you get really low, it doesn't look so good, but at around this altitude, everything looks fantastic. This is just about the perfect altitude, really sightseeing. That might be I-80 that cuts across PA there. I'm not sure. Look at that dip on the highway there. That's a view from the scenery. I really wish I could get the drone camera working. Let's try it one more time. It's not going to happen. I just got it. Why I was having trouble getting the camera to go back. I'm not going to try the drone camera anymore. I'm not sure why, but it definitely wants to kill me. 3500, so that's good. So like I was saying with the sim, I really believe the most difficult thing to learn in this sim was the camera controls. I mean, to me, they're convoluted, a little overly so. The X-Plane camera controls I thought were perfect. You could set your numpad keys up and just have to hit those to get your different camera angles. Here, I think it's, when you set it up, it's Alt-1, Alt-2, up to Alt-0. Maybe it's Control. I honestly forget now. I have a separate little game controller, like a mini keyboard, that I have plugged in, and I now use that. I set up macros, and so everything's macroed into that. So just one key will take me back to, that's from the cockpit. I mean, panel, co-pilot's view. Oh, there's a left wing and right wing. Ooh, big glare. Shiny. And it's going to be great once the third parties can start really putting together some study level aircraft. And I hate using that term, study level, but I guess that's the best way to describe it right now. It's the most accepted terminology. More detailed and accurate aircraft. I believe this is Scranton, Wilkes-Barre coming up. And I've flown this particular flight many, many times before. I like the flight from Doylestown to Ithaca. It's just about an hour or so. Beautiful scenery, terrain. But this is the first time, I got a little jumpy there. This is the first time I have actually flown it in this sim. So I'm seeing this all for the first time. And it really does look like the Poconos. There are several wind farms up there, so that doesn't surprise me. The one wind farm I saw in Doylestown. Excuse me. I swear that's not going to cough. The one wind farm that I saw in Doylestown, I don't think that exists, so that kind of surprised me to see that. Look to the left as the river cuts through the mountain, the ridge there. That's pretty neat. Just absolutely beautiful. So another glitch I found, or something that really, well, no, it's a bug, is say the camera controls. Let me go up here real quick. So I can open up these camera controls, and with the middle button on the top right of the window here of the camera controls, that middle button will pop that window out. I can actually move it anywhere. I have 3 monitors, so I can actually move that off this monitor to one of my other monitors. If I do that, it kind of does the same thing that, well, let's say if I do that and I move that off the screen, off this monitor, if I then happen to slide my cursor off the monitor, then what will happen is the aircraft will just jump up and down, very similar to what will happen if I try to go to the drone camera. It pretty much does that exact same thing. So I don't dare do that. I don't open up those pop-up windows. I just work with them here as it is. Because it would be really nice if I could open up this pop-up and slide it off the screen, and then I'd have more camera control. But again, it's just not worth it, because if I did that and the cursor goes off this middle monitor, then I'm in a world of trouble. jerking up and down or left and right all over the place. Again, I know there are a lot of guys out there complaining right now about these bugs, but I really could look past that, especially in moments like this. Just look at that terrain, and then I know that this is just a solid platform. It's only going to get better, and their goal is to keep this going for 10 years or maybe even longer. And I know in 2 or 3 years that most of these bugs are going to be crushed. There'll be a few quirky ones out there, I'm sure, but this is going to be just a smooth, beautiful simulation. I think as simmers, that's all we can really ask for. I think my first real simulator was might have been Flight Simulator 2000, and just remembering how that was and looking at this, it just blows my mind just to think of how far we've come. Sunrise off the lakes. The game engine, it just seems to hit all the atmospherics just perfectly. So we're heading into clearer weather. So as you can see all the clouds behind us, and it clears up ahead. Looks like way off in the distance there's some clouds on the horizon, but that's out there quite a ways. We won't hit those. That's neat. Something else that you could never achieve that Dex plane. I had active sky, and you just didn't get transitions like that. That looks real. For me, it's just another total wow moment. So another thing I've done in my setup is I've gotten a new microphone. I hope the voice level's fine on this. I'm trying not to talk too loud. I live at an old farmhouse, and there are other people in here. My wife, really, and I don't want to be yelling. Look down that valley. Just looking at the reflections off the wing. Look at the lights on the wingtip, the detail. It's amazing how it renders those farms. You'll see it on landing, but one thing that I think is really different with the handling of this aircraft in flight sim as opposed to X-Plane is it does feel lighter. Floatier maybe is a good term. It bounces around. The yoke is much more sensitive. It takes a lot less to move this thing around than an X-Plane. Obviously, never having really flown a DA62 or even been in one, I don't know which one is more accurate. It's not a problem. It's just different. And one thing, which I know they'll implement, but it drives me nuts that they don't have it in right now, is a replay ability. I really want some kind of replay functionality. Especially on the landings there, I really want to be able to see what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. Look at that valley. The exposed rock down there. That's amazing. I'm trying to figure it out and compare it to ortho photos and X-plane. Ooh, it jumped on me again. Little jumpy. Trying to compare it to the ortho photos as to what zoom level this would be. And it looks to me like it's fairly detailed. I would say it's almost at least a 16 zoom level. If you're familiar with ortho photos, when you downloaded them, you had an option. I don't know how low it went, but I think the highest zoom level was maybe 18, and that was very detailed. But of course, it took up a lot more space on your hard drive. I think I downloaded everything at zoom level 16, which was very good at altitude, but it got a little pixelized as you got probably within 2,000 feet or so. This, I would almost say it looks like it may be equivalent to a 17. I don't know if it could be 18. It could be a really high level detail. I think I just skipped again. I don't know why it's getting a little jumpy on me. Usually out somewhere like this, with this aircraft, I stay right around 60 frames. My settings are high for the most part. The clouds I have on ultra. Most of I think the trees are all on high. I think the buildings I might actually have on medium detail. Quick, just to get an idea where we are. Alright, we're getting closer now to Ithaca. One of the nice things about flying at the lower altitude is I don't have to worry about really descending down to where I need to be. I'm already there. We're 7 miles out from this VOR, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, and then from there, probably about 10 miles out to Occi, or Ossie, OCCIE, Oscar Charlie, Charlie India Echo, and that's really the beginning of our RNAV descent. So once we get to Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, I gotta start thinking about bleeding off some of the speed. Oh, so that's what I forgot. I was so rudely interrupted when I was explaining this last time by the fact that I forgot to turn the alternators on, and I lost all power. But what I was saying earlier is in the X-plane version of this aircraft, when I take off, when you take off at 100% power, if you remained at 100% power for very long, your engines are going to catch fire, and you're going to die. in this aircraft, it doesn't say 100. I got a throttle already up. It says we're at 90% right now. But really, I should pull it back to about 75. One more little detail. It only gives you the increments in percentage, or in it only gives you the percentage in increments of 10. Whereas at other aircraft, it'll actually tell you if you're like at 74, 76. But again, I can survive that. You can just look at that and see what's going on. So it's 10.5 miles to Achi. And at Achi, I should really be at 3,400 feet. Although right now I'm only at 3,500. I only have to drop 100 feet. Again, one of the nice things about traveling low. See. Vertical altitude set for 3,400. We'll do vertical speed. We'll go nose down. And we'll slowly descend down to 3,400. And really register. By the way, our just 2992. That makes a difference a little bit. And as you can see, our local time is 7:56 a.m. So we've been just about an hour. Took a few minutes on the ground in Doylestown, so a little under an hour. And you can see our GPS now is set altitude 3,400 feet, so we're good for Achi. And we'll be there in about 5 miles. See if it has the speeds written down here. I think it's takeoff flaps. I need to be under 136 knots, landing 119. I'll just have to be aware of that. One of the interesting things about the approach in Ithaca is you come in over a pretty good sized ridge and then descend right into the runway. The runway is just off, I don't know which lake, it's off one of the Finger Lakes. That'll be just off to the left when we come in to land. Curious to see how well it shows up on this sim. Look at that sun. And from there, I'm just going to take it over manually. Do a slow descent. Push throttle a little bit. Again, bleed off a little bit of the speed. When I get to Connell, I want to be at flaps 1. See the beacon dead ahead. So there's the lake, and I don't have my mouse on it on OBS, so you can't see the cursor as I'm circling it on my screen. But obviously there's the lake straight ahead, just to the left, and you see the beacon just peeking over that ridge. Beautiful approach. It's beautiful country. Lights. And 5 miles. Still working on bleeding off a little bit of that speed. Just want to get under 136. And I can set my flaps. 3 miles. And there I'm at 136 already. So 135, and we're settled in at 3,000. 2.5 miles. I'll just wait till I'm about 1.5 miles out from Connell and except takeoff flaps. Takeoff flaps. I'll let the autopilot do the honors of trimming me out for the flaps here. Plane. It's really kind of jumpy, very sensitive. Wow, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. Look at those approach lights. That was not an X-plane. Obviously a much larger airport than Doylestown. Crossing this bridge here. Once we cross this bridge, I'll drop my gear. Go landing flaps soon. flaps. Too slow, a little more throttle, a little low. Oh, way off the center line. Oops, slow down, slow down. Off my landing strobe lights. And we'll just cut right across here. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ithaca, New York. I'm gonna find a random spot over here away from all the ground traffic. Try not to run this guy over. This DA62 is just an awesome plane to fly. I love it. I'm coming right next to this guy here. Make sure if this is an appropriate place to park. Gonna stop right at some random spot. Set my parking brake. Oh, turn off my throttle. Turn off my pitot heat. Don't need that. I don't need that. And we are shut down. Guess I can kill those lights too. Probably came off anyhow, but now let's see here. Now it's not going to kill me. Now I'm on the ground. There we go. Oh, I forgot my flaps. Oops, left my flaps down. Alright folks, well, that was the first flight in my around the world journey. So here we are in Ithaca, New York. Beautiful Ithaca, New York. And the next leg of this flight will be to Glens Falls. Wait, I gotta make sure I say it right. I think it's... Where's my list? I have the whole flight somewhere here. Glens Falls, New York. Look at the detail in this airport. Look at the beacon light. And of course, this isn't a handcrafted airport. This is just a generic airport, but beautiful. The lake's over there. Just amazing. Really wish I had a replay too on this. That's the ridge we came in over. Right up there. Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much. And hope to see you along on a ride to Ithaca. Or no, Glens Falls. Take care.